Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am here.
Yay! That's good. That's good. So happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to Mindset Monday, where independent patient advocates like us come together to start the week with positivity and inspiration. I'm Nicole Broadhurst, and I'm here with my co-host, Kayla Thompson-Riviere. Today, we're focusing on intuition, and we have a really short but powerful quote. I think this is going to guide us through a really powerful conversation. So let's dive in and get inspired.
Woo! All right. Our quote this week comes to us from Dean Koontz, which I know this one. He is an author.
All right. Yes.
And it is, intuition is seeing with the soul.
And there it is. I absolutely love this. I think we do a lot of conversations around intuition versus ego and all this stuff. And I have a feeling, good morning, Shelby. Glad you're here. I have a feeling we're going to do that again this morning, right? But I kind of want to share something that happened last night. I was talking to my sister, and this is kind of my niece, who's 16, this weekend went shopping, and she was on her own. And when she left, she ended up calling her dad because she was very uncomfortable with a gentleman in her surroundings. And she ended up going to the police department and having her car checked out instead of going home. Where I'm going with this is my sister was sharing it with me, and I said to my sister, I'm so proud of her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because the police didn't find anything. Everything was fine. It turns out there wasn't anything. However, that doesn't mean that there wasn't a threat. And this is an illustration of what we're talking about today. Intuition is seeing with the soul, and she felt something in her soul that didn't feel right. And she did not let anyone's perception about that guide her. She took care of herself. And I think so many times we let external influences guide us when our intuition, our soul, our very being knows what we need or what we don't need. So I say that I know, right? Like, I think it's important that we don't let that get in the way, and that we trust our intuition and our soul, because it can be sharing things that we don't cognitively aren't able to explain, or whatever that might be. So that was kind of a drastic example, but I couldn't help it, right? Like, it just happened. So I think that going inward. So anyway, what are your original thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, well, I'll just kind of piggyback off of what you were saying. You just a minute ago, you said something about how the soul can kind of bring up something that maybe cognitively we can't. And I just want to expound on that a little bit, because I know I've shared this before, but one thing that we have found is that oftentimes culturally, we tend to be dismissive of feelings. And I think that's where this is coming from, this intuition, because we can't, whenever we get some gut feeling or an intuition about something, we're unable to pinpoint or verbalize or explain where or why that is coming up for us. And for that reason, we tend to dismiss it. However, what research has shown us is that, our brain, I don't know if you've found this, but your brain only has the capacity to store so many memories.
Yeah. Yes. Kayla, yes. As a matter of fact, I am very familiar with that. Yes.
Okay. Just make sure I'm not the crazy one.
Yeah. It's not just you.
But one thing that we found is that though we can't store all of those memories in a way that is combined with our language processing, we are able to store the core events in an emotional sense, and it gets stored in the limbic system of our brain. So when we have a gut feeling or an intuition, it's because that kind of deeper, more primal part of our brain is recalling a similar event and connecting the dots. We just don't store language there. So it's not that it shouldn't be dismissed just because we can't explain it or like give a rock solid reason why, because it truly is coming from pulled events and memories of things that you've had before.
Love that.
So I love sharing that with people because I feel like it helps to give some validity to intuition and gut feelings, which, you know, as I mentioned, tend to be dismissed in our very kind of scientific approach to in our culture.
Right. I agree. I couldn't agree more. I find myself, my husband often makes fun of me a little bit, maybe. There's lots of times, and you all have been hanging out with me for a while, and you might notice it as well, that I will start things like, well, I feel like maybe we should do this, right? And sometimes it really is, I've noticed over the years, where I've started to trust that more. Right. And because you're right, I think that we do have lots of experiences, lots of knowledge, lots of things that we can't put into words, but our body. Has anybody read the book? Oh, of course, there's going to be a book. The Body Knows. It's I can't remember who wrote it, but it talks about some of this stuff, Kayla, that our body physically knows things that our mind, I don't want to say doesn't know, but like you said, aren't aware of, or
that we can't put language around.
Yes. And I'm pretty sure, is this something that Simon Sinek talks in Start With Why? I feel like there might be something, not directly, but I feel
maybe
I feel like
maybe briefly, but if so, I don't think it's something he spends a lot of time talking about it. But one of my favorite people does spend a lot of time talking about that. And this is Alex Charfen. So guys, if you are new here with Mindset Monday, Alex Charfen is a phenomenal entrepreneur. He's actually taken a break from his business currently, which makes me so sad. But he has done so much work around what he calls the entrepreneurial personality type. And then expounding upon that in different ways and how it relates to business. But one of the things that he is very passionate about is getting entrepreneurs to really hone in on the mind-body connection. And there's a few reasons why, but part of it goes along with this idea of your body knows things. The limbic system of your brain knows things, even when the rational thinking frontal cortex language part of your brain doesn't know it. And he talks about some of the most successful people in business are the people who can make decisions quickly. And as your business grows, the decisions that you have to make become more complex and have more risk involved, and typically with less information. So in order to get really good at decision making on a larger scale with less information, you have to get really good at identifying where your intuition is, where it lives in your body, and picking up on the signs that because your body, you know the answer to things, right or wrong. You just have to find that wisdom within yourself. And so that kind of goes along with that. And you're like, well, that's a lot.
It is a lot. And
so don't worry. We come with practical tips as well.
Yes.
Which we'll move into when we're done.
Yes.
Picking this apart a little bit.
Right.
But that was how I wanted to relate it to business. I also have a thought of how I like to relate it to healthcare. But it sounds like you had something you wanted to jump in with, Nicole.
Nope, go right ahead. Let's talk about it.
You were talking about how your niece had this, she felt like something was wrong and she went and got it checked out anyways, despite the fact that, she could have been labeled for so many things, right? And that's, I think where you were leaning to when you were sharing about not letting other people's perspective of yourself come into play here. Right. Well, for those who don't know, I've spent a good chunk of my career as a nurse in the ER. And I tell this to people all the time. Thankfully, not every time somebody comes in with chest pain is it a heart attack. In fact, there's a lot of things in the chest area that can cause chest pain that aren't related to your heart at all. But of course, that's everybody's number one concern. And also, when most people come in thinking they're, scared to death, they're having a heart attack, finding out that they're not, and all their cardiac stuff is coming back good, oftentimes their reaction is, oh, like, I feel so silly. I wasted everybody's time, kind of that kind of pathway. And I always tell people, I'm like, look, it's best case scenario that you get checked out and you're okay.
Right. Absolutely. But
like that you're the expert of your own body. And when something isn't right, it's our role to, lean into that and to, continue to step up. This is one of the things I teach my clients, because there is, even though when you work with an advocate, there's of course always a piece of self-advocacy. It has to start with self. And so the stepping up to, hey, something is wrong here. I don't know what it is, but something is wrong here. So never you have to be able to let go of that piece of judgment. Well, what if they don't find something? What if I feel silly about it? What if something's really wrong? And thank God you said something.
Right. And there it is. Right. I love this because, Kayla, one of the things that I wanted to make sure we talked about was this whole idea of aligning our inner wisdom, because I don't know what else to call that, right? That intuitive feeling in our soul, with our external purpose or an outer purpose, right? And how when we find alignment inside of ourselves, where we trust this intuition and are willing to explore it and talk about it more, it really allows us the opportunity to show up from a place of genuine concern and compassion and patient listening for our clients and the situations that they're going through. And it also gives them permission to do the same thing, which, when you think about it from an interpersonal relationship perspective, when you have two people who are finding this alignment and alignment and awareness around their intuitive feelings and the situations, it really ups the game on how we're able to address it, discuss it, explore it, find solutions for it, and then really get confidence around what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. And this, I think, is, for me anyway, is one of the key reasons that our role as independent advocates can be so incredibly valuable, priceless, because there's no one inside the healthcare system that can take that kind of time to really sit with that and explore it with patients and families and, talk about the options, which really is just priceless when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's time, it's relationship, all of that stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, just to tie into it, another piece that I see being very important in our work as independent patient advocates is keeping in mind that for a lot of our clients, and especially those who are chronically ill, and especially those who were chronically ill and had a long period of time before getting a diagnosis, there's a lot to unpack there. And often for people who struggle to get a diagnosis or have something in the rare complex world, there's a lot of gaslighting before they get that diagnosis. And they spend a long time being told that there's nothing wrong with them. Or here's my favorite, maybe it's anxiety or depression. Maybe they even got started on meds for that crap. Or they were just kind of, oftentimes we're talking about a generation that's not my age. And, thankfully with my age, I think have grown up with a bit more of a sense of empowerment than perhaps the generations before me, especially when we talk about women who are, in their 60s, 70s, that maybe these are people who were brought up. Well, I was brought up with this philosophy: children are to be seen and not heard. And also there can be a lot of culture of dismissing women's concerns. So all of these things we keep in mind when we begin to work with our clients, because they may not even have that connection to self anymore because it has been so stifled by those around them.
Right. Yeah, really. Yeah, I love that. And I love that this is a role we play to help empower patients in these situations. I think that's awesome. It's also interesting to me how, are you familiar with the term emotional intelligence?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I never know, but I read a book once. It was called Emotional Intelligence. And I think the gentleman's name was Gottman, I think, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I love the Gottmans. It probably was.
So anyway, I think that, this kind of falls into that arena of emotional intelligence of, being aware of our intuition and, our soul, whatever that is that feels comfortable to call it. It can also help us improve our communication and our understanding with other people, right? Because this is that part of us that recognizes visual cues in conversations, the way somebody's moving, their tone of voice, the moment that we say, "Hey, is everything okay?" Right. Where you're just like, I don't know what it is. Kayla, you and I had, was that just last week?
It was last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Sandy. Dan Gottman. Last week after our Mindset Monday, after we ended the stream, Kayla literally said to me, "Nicole, are you okay?" Because I was a little bit off. Right. And it was, the truth is it was because I hadn't had a chance to figure out my day, and my day had already started. And anyway, that moment, right? The way we move, the way we talk, the way other people are moving and talking in conversation, it allows us to pick up on some things that might be missed by a purely logical or ego-driven mindset, right? I think that heightened awareness is really helpful in creating more meaningful connections. And you know how I feel about relationships and connections, and improves trust between people, which again, these are all critical skills and soft skills that we as independent advocates need to incorporate into our work. Because I think the reason our role has been born and is thriving is because this is something that isn't happening other places for patients.
Correct. Yeah.
So our being aware of it and incorporating it and doing this mindset work is really, really important, not just to us, right? Because it's helping us and we're growing as professionals and people and personally and all of those things, but it's also helping us better serve our clients. And I think that's just really powerful when we think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's absolutely this is the stuff. This is the stuff of fully living life. I started a couple years ago on my personal, what's the word, growth journey, I guess. I don't know. I had a baby and I was like, I need to figure out how to not mess him up. And
every parent, yes.
I started how to raise your child without requiring therapy afterwards. Like that's the goal. So I really started on this personal growth journey from that was the catalyst, but it has just spilled over into every area of my life and every relationship that I have. And the more that I really hone in on, and it's not just intuition, like it's all the things that we talk about, but the more that I lean into these soft skills, as you say, and like I by default or by the way that I was raised, or, probably both, like the nurture and nature, I came to the adult world with a very like fixed, rigid, small like mindset. It's funny, I was actually just thinking about this when I was driving in, and like the way that it has grown, it's almost like going from a tree trunk to like looking at the top of the tree, like so spread out and beautiful, and just capturing all of the sunlight and all of the essence of like what life is about. And it's just amazing. Like the way that I can connect with people now. And even when this is a way it can be helpful just in our day-to-day practice, being able to kind of foster this intuition and this empathetic connection. I can talk to people, and oftentimes I can get to what they're trying to say, even when they're not doing the best job communicating it. So not only does that help achieve our goals faster, and builds that connection, because they are struggling and I can see them and meet them where they're at. It's just so many good things that come around that. And it's turned around and given me like such a sense of fulfillment. So if there wasn't enough reasons.
Right. I love this. Sarah talks about, I'm going to show her comment here. She thinks it's easy for people with high emotional intelligence to become very entangled with people, right? Or enmeshed, or some of those other words that we hear, which makes being able to draw boundaries somehow very important. So Sarah, we talk about boundaries. Boundaries is a very big pillar here inside of Mindset Monday. So you can go back and you can look at the last time we talked about that was just on the 2nd of this month, where we talked about self-care and some of those other things. And then before that, it was on October 14th. So feel free to go back and check those recordings out, because you're absolutely correct. We all struggle with some of this stuff on boundaries in regards to, where do we draw that line? And you're right. I think that it is easy for us to take on more than is ours, which is why some of these pillars which is why Mindset Monday started. Right? This is the place where we kind of come and kind of get organized around that. So I love this, because I think it's a great segue into, okay, Kayla, like all this stuff is really cool and great, but what the heck am I supposed to do during my day-to-day to help me be more aware and to cultivate this awareness and this intuition inside of my soul? What are some things that you think we can do?
Yeah. So when trying to connect more with a very meta thing, right, we really need to focus on the mind-body connection. So we live in a very fast-paced world, filled with things that look like they are marketed as food, but are not actually. So the more that we can steer clear of that kind of default, typical, standard American pathway, the better you're going to do, which kind of makes sense, because we were just talking about how in our culture, we don't recognize or value intuition near as much as we should. And that's because we are largely disconnected with the wisdom that lies within our bodies. So this can look like a lot of things, but the things that come up for me are stillness practices, grounding practices, water. Guys, you're probably dehydrated.
It's crazy, Kayla. I think I read somewhere that like 80% of the American population is chronically dehydrated. Now, I if you've read something different, I don't know, but it's a crazy big number. Crazy big number.
And here's what's even crazier is that it causes a lot of like random symptoms, and then we give people medications for it.
Right. So I love this. So this is one of the reasons, y'all, the first quarter of 2025 planners coming out this week. Watch your inbox for it. But this is one of the reasons that I incorporated a whole health, a hydration section, an exercise section, a meditation and devotion section for these reasons, because I believe, just like you, Kayla, that some of these things will help us stay in tune with our body, the mind-body connection, right? If I'm not hydrated, my thoughts, my thought process isn't going to be as on point. I'm not going to be as aware of what's going on if I'm not moving my body. I love these suggestions so much so that I put them in my planner so that I take care of them every single day. So I wholeheartedly agree. Yes, I think that's really important.
And our friend who I mentioned earlier, Alex Sharfin, he's so big about what does he call it? Radical hydration.
Yes.
That he actually created this. It's a whole natural thirst challenge. So I just posted the link, but it's naturalthirstnow.com. And it's a free thing to sign up for. It's a 14-day water drinking challenge. Really, this is not a complicated thing, but you put in your phone number and like you'll get reminders to help you keep on track. But it's amazing how much better you can feel and how much better your body runs, and you can start to pick up on these signals just by hydrating properly. You look like a sink sponge. Put water on yourself.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Kayla, in full transparency, I thank you so much for sharing that, because that is exactly how I did it. How I transitioned away. Like I have 2 cups of coffee in the morning, and then I drink literally about 100 ounces of water a day. And I started with Alex's challenge because it is just an amazing concept. There's lots of information behind it, and it is a game changer. So anyway, enough on that. We're not a commercial.
Absolutely. I mean, I would be.
I know, right? I know, free advertising, but it is true. So yeah, I love that idea.
Water, food, real whole foods, means things that came up from the ground and exist in nature. If it comes out of a box or a package, it's not food anymore. It's a food-like product. Movement, grounding, stillness. Those are my 5. So pick one. Pick one to start implementing. Don't try to do them all at once. But all of those things and gradually building up will help to really build and foster and allow you to lean into the signals and the wisdom from within your body.
Oh, I love this. I love this. My grandmother, the first time that I got, we're winding this up, and I think these are all really good action steps, right? Those are 5 things. Pick one, any one, and make that your goal this week to incorporate one of those into your day. And I'm reminded, my grandmother once said to me, I'm asthmatic, and she said to me, do you ever find it interesting, Nikki? She called me Nikki. Do you ever find it interesting, Nikki, that your asthma flares up whenever you have something on your chest that you need to talk about? And I have carried that with me my whole life, because you know what? That is a key indicator to me. When my breathing gets labored and I'm struggling, yes, there are like allergic things that can spur that. But the first thing I do in my meditation and my devotion time is start to think about, okay, what am I not saying that I need to say? What do I need to get off of my chest? And more times than not, there is something there.
Oh yeah. That mind-body connection. Again, we don't give it enough credit, but there are so many illnesses that are flared up by our mental state. And it's unfortunately something that we don't take. I'm just going to say we don't take appropriate approaches to, because the answer should not just be, well, here's some Xanax.
Right. I love it. Well, I think we've done a good job covering this. Hey, Angie, for some reason, my keyboard's not working. However, Angie, his name is Alex Sharfin. I think it's Fen. Perfect. Oh, there she is. Fantastic. All right. Well, let's get this show on the road. Let's start our week. This is a wrap for this Mindset Monday. We are so grateful for you and this community of independent patient advocates. We hope that today's quote on intuition has empowered you in your work and through your personal life this week. Be sure to share how you're applying it in your advocacy practice or your daily routines. We'll see you right back here next Monday for more inspiration, where we'll talk about intentionality and goals. Have a great week, everyone.